Let's look ahead now to the Investec Champions Cup knockout stages. You've won it 3 times, the Saracens. God, it is such an Oars fest to celebrate your amazing career. Now, where will your attention be focused this weekend?
Well, I'll be watching the players now, both for the Lions and for England. I'm going to Northampton game on Friday night, so looking forward to knockout rugby and all the differences that entails. And obviously, we've seen some amazing games in the Premiership, but nothing like when the level steps up and the jeopardy of losing your done is out there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, you talked about Northampton Saints. Just a word on Fraser Dingwall. Is he got to be the most underrated player in England at the moment?
I think everyone calls him underrated because he maybe not had the headlines that everyone had. But I think in the teams he's played in, he's probably not underrated, which says everything. You know, it's like Hask. Yeah. You always wanted to be rated by the people you played with, the guys that you're with week in, week out. If you had their respect. And they wanted you in the team because you made them a better player. That was a good place to be, and I think that's what Fraser's got in Northampton, and when he played for England, he's got that with us. So I'm delighted to see him sort of get his bit of recognition.
Whilst we're on the 12s, are you happy about what's coming down the pipeline? Obviously, centres. You got Slady, who's a little bit on the older. Obviously, Ollie had that nasty injury, but you've got the likes of Atkinson at Gloss, Luke Northmore. Are you happy with what's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, definitely. Throw Oscar Beard in that mix as well. You've got some good young lads coming through, and I think it was a position where Slady and Ollie had played together a lot and had good experience, and I think Slady keeps himself in as good a nick as anyone.
Pure vanity.
But he's one of the fittest players we have as well. So he obviously puts in a bit of work, but to go along with obviously wanting to look good. But no, it seems like they're all now getting good rugby. The guys you mentioned. So that's the key: is that how many games can they get? How much experience can they gain so that they can be test ready as early as possible? Because we've definitely got some talent coming through.
Well, we've got 5 English teams into the round of 16. 4 of them have away ties. Mystic Mike, do you predict any wins in that group?
All right, so as we say, we've got Northampton Saints and Claremont Friday night. We've got Sarries away to Toulon. We've got Harlequins away to Leinster. Leicester away to Glasgow, and then the Sale Sharks away at Toulouse. Not sure that's where I'm going to go for my win. Look, I think Leicester going to Glasgow could upset. Obviously, disappointing result at home this weekend, but they have the potential, having gone to Northampton and given them a good stuffing the other week. I feel Quins will struggle at Leinster, but I think Sarries could go to Toulon and do a job there. I think their experience in terms of away matches in competitions in knockout rugby, I think they could go and do that. But I think that would be Leicester and Sarries are the only two that possibly could upset the apple cart.
Wiggy, are you allowed to predict, or is that not allowed as a coach? I don't know.
Well, yeah, 5 English wins, is it? That's how I can predict.
Yeah, fine, perfect.
Yes, I can predict.
Well, we're just actually touching on Toulon versus Saracens. Obviously, Nonu playing potentially at 42. He's the oldest top 14 player of all time.
You think he's literally got nothing else to do?
Yeah. It must do. I played with Mar at the Ricoh Black Rams. Obviously, played against him loads of times, the All Blacks. It wasn't like he wasn't a physical player.
Yeah, I know.
How is he still going? But is that?
Do you think it's a little lie on the passport?
Well, but normally, if it's a Pacific Islander, they normally lie the other way. So he's probably 52.
I feel it was 20 years ago. We had it on the pod the first time.
I think we did. Obviously, that's a massive game for Sarries. Obviously, Jamie. I think, fortunately, Sarries have to rest Jamie George and Maro Itoje for the game as part of the PGP, which is the players' welfare thing. A bit mad that they have to do it. It'd be frustrating as a player, Tins, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, of course it is. But also, it's part of the plan of trying to keep players.
Yeah.
Give them the breaks that they need. We all say that they're overplayed. So, unfortunately, it's got to give at some points. It's not ideal that, it's Sarri's choice to do it on this game, isn't it? He could have done it in one of the games already. But, it's just something we've got to get used to seeing more and more.
Obviously, that's a massive loss with Maro's leadership as well on that game on the weekend. I mean, how impressed, Wiggy, were you when Maro was made captain of England? We didn't really touch on that when we spoke.
Oh, he did a brilliant job, didn't he? I think he was obviously talked about how proud he was to do it, but he put in real effort to the role, give it proper consideration of how he was going to lead during the week, and lent on his other senior players. But the big thing is how he played. So it didn't come as a burden to him, did it? It came as like, this is going to get the best out of him, and he'd be a guy who leads with his actions. So we were delighted with him on and off the field, but the examples that he shows and the amount of experience he now has, there's not much he's not seen and done to be able to lean on him in that way.
When I sort of I saw it first with Dylan Hartley, he kind of talks about the 9 to 5, which is, what everybody sees. I think captains, people kind of forget it's a full-time role, and you have to think a lot more about it. And it's actually more of the 5 to 9 stuff, where how you want to speak to the team, what kind of leadership you want to be. You saying that he sort of really applied himself with that? Because I think sometimes people made captains, it can often be ceremonial, but in your point of view, he really was setting the agenda, setting the tone, understanding what the coaches wanted, what the players wanted, and being able to communicate that all together.
Yeah, he definitely had gave it a lot of consideration. He'd obviously, I'd say Jamie had done that before him, and Owen before him. So he'd had great examples of what that looked like, and obviously great. He'd learnt under those leaders as he went, so looked in a really good position to take it on and do it his way. And he did that as well. He didn't try and be someone he wasn't. He didn't get that bit a bit wrong either. He got that bit spot on. So he did an awesome job for us.
Just also in that game, obviously for Toulon, you got Ben White playing, potential for the Lions, but depending on how top 14 rolls, those finalists could be missing for the opening sort of, the meetups, and then potentially if you go further down those knockouts, you're missing a couple of games. Is that really going to affect those players?
Not from what I understand. I think it was everything's on the table, and we go out and pick the best players we can, and obviously Faz will decide what that looks like come the end of it, but it definitely wasn't something that was a consideration in first initial talks about it.
Right, because there is obviously there's another massive battle within that as well with Sales. Game out in Toulouse with Willis and Curry, another sort of mouth-watering matchup for people to sort of dig into.
Yeah, I think there's some good matchups as you look across it, and obviously got Quins at Leinster, and there's some matchups there for us. So there's plenty, like you say, knockout rugby when it's all on the line. You get to learn a lot.
Obviously, Owen Farrell played last night and had some big interventions for Racing 92 against Bordeaux, and actually won 36-31, which is an incredible game. Did you watch that? Do you keep an eye on your old mate?
I did. Yeah, I actually watched second half. So I saw him come on. Obviously, good impact, good win for them. It was a crazy game in the end. They went in typical French style, went up massively, and then Bordeaux, being Bordeaux, came right back into it, slinging it around everywhere. So and they managed to hold on in the last few seconds for the win.
I'm definitely not. The more that we're going now into this Champions Cup sort of segment, I'm less and less envious of your job.
Because the amount of rugby I've got to watch.
Because the amount of rugby you've got to watch, but also the battles. Then you've got to weigh up: does Six Nations just historical form? Does Six Nations form? Does current form? And where do you go off the back of it? Good luck with that, because there's a shed load of good players for you. But really what I'll always do is, like, after every game, I'll fire in something for you into your little WhatsApp chain.
Yeah, hopefully, just let us know we got it wrong. Yeah, what were you thinking there? Yeah. What were you thinking, considering all those things? And I've just thought of this off the top of my head and shoot it out there.
I haven't watched the game. I've just based on some hyperbole. one bloke's line break. I haven't looked at any other parts of the game. And I'm just going to say that he needs to be selected for the Lions. That's the luxury we now have. It's a great place.
Fundamentals. Who cares about fundamentals? I just want one-off moment.
I picked Willie John McBride for the second row. No one told me he'd retired. I didn't know. Again, there's a couple more games. Obviously, we've got Bordeaux Beglers versus Ulster. Glasgow, obviously, Warriors you've talked about with Leicester. La Rochelle versus Munster, 8th versus 9th seed. Ronagara faces Old Side. currently 10th in the top 14. And obviously, O'Gara has coached La Rochelle to 2 Champions Cup titles. I mean, can they still do it, do you think? Have they got the form? Obviously, the wheels come off slightly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they know the tournament. They know what it's all about. I think he's a great motivator of men. So there's no. I think actually for someone like La Rochelle now walking into that competition, they could probably just go throw the shackles off a little bit and enjoy themselves. And I think you'll get the best performance out of that team for it. So at home as well, I just don't see him. I don't see him getting beat at home.